You know what? Personally, I've done a lot of growing. I came from a lot of places, and I was shoved in many dark corners, and I had to kind of learn things. And to me, God really helped me. And so that's why when I hear people kind of not understanding why somebody would have faith and why faith is so integral to somebody's personality, growth, and being. I want to put my opinions about it. I want to share it, and it's Facebook. It's made out of chaos. It's for chaos. It's difficult to actually have structured conversation when we want.
It is, yeah. And let me say right off the bat, I understand why people have faith because I had for 10 years.
Okay.
I was a fundamentalist young earth creationist. I used to read a
Nice.
chapter of the Bible at least every day. I was in church or house group 6 days a week. And
Oh, damn.
when I wasn't doing that, I was in private devotion. I
Yeah.
absolutely get why people are Christians because I was, and the last thing I expected was to become an atheist. But I've been an atheist now over 30 years.
Well, I guess the question does God exist? Is he real? Is it a real thing? Or did we make it up? And is there a difference? You know? Um,
Well, I don't think that exists. But before we get into that, because I did read what you wrote about people straw manning you,
yeah, yeah,
tell
yeah,
me.
yeah.
I don't want to do that because I'm fed up with people straw manning me as an atheist.
Yeah,
So
I
tell
agree.
me what you believe.
Okay, what
Then
I
at least we'll
believe
be on the
in
same page.
is that the universe produces systems, all kind of systems that works with each other. It works with what we call evolution, adaptation, mutation. It's all to fit in whatever system your being is. And God is an immutable system. And there's a few of them, but God is what I reckon as the light, which would mean order. And everything he speaks of in the Bible, especially in Genesis, there's so many books. When I say everything in the Bible, I mean everything means something in the Bible. It's the recognition of that immutable system and how to not just fit in, but be part of it. So that's why God is omnipotent. He's in all of us. He's in you, whether you believe him or not. But when you are saved, which is what makes Christian fundamentals is when you're saved, you truly start as a true Christian. It's as simply described as becoming from a child to an adult in your mind. It's to accept that all the
Okay.
stuff you're doing because it was fun, because you were curious about, because you wanted to experience. It, it's not that it's bad all the time, but you're not at that level in your life anymore. You're ascending and you're assuming your responsibilities. You're aware of the chaos that happens when you don't pay attention to those responsibilities, and that relationship with God is a relationship with yourself fundamentally.
Okay.
That's what I believe God is.
I mean, would that be commensurate with Paul talking about when I was a child, I thought like a child, but now that I'm a man, I put away childish things? Is it commensurate with that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It rings true to me reading that for sure.
Okay. Now, you've said that God is um, omnipresent, I think. Do you
Yeah.
with all of the omnis? Is he omnipotent?
Um, I think I would. I might be using it wrong, or maybe it doesn't matter. What I mean by he's omnipresent is he's present in all things because he's an immutable system that can be applied and can be seen in everything. It's the order that comes from things not fitting in. And when they start fitting in, there's a godly order that's appearing there. You know what I mean?
Right. So, I mean, the classical definition of, in classical theism, the definition of omnipresent is God is everywhere.
Yes, yes. That
Okay.
would be my
Is,
my belief of it.
is he omnipotent? So can he
What would
do anything
um
that's logically possible? Forgetting about square circles and married
right,
bachelors
right.
and things like that. Things that are
I I,
logically reasonable.
I think he's I don't know everything's in the universe, but I would okay, so then from my belief, he's present in everything that happens. Whether he actively or by organic executive decision makes something happen, I don't think it works like that. I think it works with frequency, and through frequencies, some butterfly effect or a domino effect happens. And what the outcome is what he produces. The way it happens, I think it's the fundamentals of our universe. It's kind of what goes from the spiritual being to the flesh. When it goes into flesh and enters probably a barrier of chaos, or it enters a realm of chaos, our realm, and the things aren't like exactly like he says, but it's within God's design. You know what I mean? He says, well,
Okay.
this person is gonna grow and flourish this kind of way. If that person chooses to decay itself, they're gonna grow within that kind of realm, but they're not gonna, achieve that result, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So in terms of omnipotent or omnipotent, he can't do everything.
No.
He's present everywhere. And it sounded at one point like he was saying that everything is part of
We're
his
having bad receptions, at
plan
least on my end.
anyway.
Could you repeat that? We were having bad connection.
Okay. It sounds like he can't do everything,
Yeah.
but he is always present. And whatever the outcome is, now this is the bit I need to check because I'm not sure what you said. I think you said whatever the outcome is, it's all part of his plan.
Yes, yes. And by plan, the way I see his plan in quotation is his design. Because, like I said, I believe the universe fundamentally produces design systems that whatever matter get caught in it grows into. And God, He designs those systems.
So, so let me add an extensional question to that. If God
Okay.
makes a prophecy in the Bible, is it is it reliable? Does he know that will be the thing that will happen?
I think yes, but I think that comes on a whole different level. I think God created a system that when we abide by it, there's this a portion of this big art that is worship and worshiping God basically, which is not just praying, but what I believe worship creates is it plays into manifestation, and I think the Bible is a earthly understanding on a big portion of it of what God is, what the harmony, what the systemic harmony of God is, and they're trying to manifest it to be more in tune with that order that is God. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Basically,
So,
without without those morals, one neighbor will treat another a certain kind of way, and when there's too many people, too many different kind of ways, it doesn't work together. So fundamentally, everybody kind of got to agree to a certain set of rules. That idea is an immutable system, and that's a reflection of what I believe an immutable God is, which is an immutable system, and we're trying to recreate that in our fleshly structure, if that makes sense.
um, I think it does. I'm sure it'll become clear as we talk further. So,
Yeah. Okay. True.
if, if we don't act in accordance with God's rules, can we mess up his prophecies so they don't come true? or will they come through anyway because God said so?
I think we can mess them up. Now, a lot of people would disagree with that, and by my own definition, I should be wrong, but I think that's the big thing with the flesh world and with the chaos is that we can mess it up. Now, can we prevent it completely from happening? I would. My concept is that if something can bleed, something can die. If we can mess it up, then we can go full board and completely abort it if we push
Okay.
it to that extent. So yes, I think there is a version where God or the immutable order could be unsatisfactory to human, and we lead our society astray. Now, but I do
Okay.
think if that would happen in time, it would rectify itself. Even without the Bible, we would go through some kind of dark age, but then we would recognize certain immutable laws like don't kill your neighbor, don't rob, don't lie, because those are things that degenerates in your mind and around you. When you impact another person with those kind of things, it propagates. And in yourself, when you start lying or stealing, it's harder not to do it because your standard has lowered. So I think one way or another, that system comes back around all the time. But if
Okay.
you're talking about a biblical prophecy, I think it's too accurate or it's too precise to not be able to be tampered with. I think it can. I don't know the degree to which, but yes, somebody that's supposed to do something can definitely sit on the couch and miss out on his whole life. I believe that.
Okay. Right. So the other one I wanted to ask you about is omnibenevolence. Is God all good?
Um, I think good is too subjective to our mind frame. God is good because being with God, you're going the right way. But God doesn't. If He sees somebody burning, he's not gonna come physically change. Affect that. It's not how He works. Whether He can or can't. I don't think that's how He works. I don't know how. I don't. But I know that's not how He works because we got sufferance, and sufferance as
Okay.
a pillar in your mind is important because with sufferance comes motivation and desire for better. With comfort you lose those desire, and
So
it's go ahead.
can God do bad things?
Again, I think that's subjective. I think we look at things as bad, but it's because it's chaotic. It's neither good or bad. It's just things that happens, and we, as the flesh agency, could prevent something. But him, he's not in the flesh. I think it's through us that either we're doing something about it, or the unfolding event is gonna go through this less than immutable system because the operatable agent in that system aren't doing the right thing. They're killing each other. They're hoarding. You know what I mean? In a system like that, unless an outside agency in the flesh do something, I think it's just going to perpetuate further into chaos to a point.
Uh, okay, but there are, I mean, if we take the Old Testament, for example, there are occasions in the Old Testament where God says, I will visit this upon you, and then God does it.
I think
Could
he
that
speaks.
ever be evil or immoral, in your view?
Could you repeat that?
I'll give you an illustration. In Second Samuel, um, David takes a married woman, Bathsheba. They have a child, and he arranges for Bathsheba's husband to be sent to the front lines where he dies. The punishment from God is that the child dies painfully after a protracted illness, and 10 of David's wives, who had nothing to do with the crime, are raped by David's son. God made that happen.
I think it's portrayed as God make it happen. I think a lot of it came from David's accountability.
But
You
David,
know?
in the book though,
Yeah.
in Second Samuel, God actually says, "You did this in secret, but I will do this publicly. I will give your wives to your enemy." God's and in Isaiah he says, "I create good and evil. I, the Lord, do both of these things."
Okay.
Which is why I'm confused about what you're saying.
Um. Well, I okay. I think there's a moral lesson in there, and that if because I can't say it had to have happened exactly like that historically, because God is not a flesh figure. You can't just turn around in a group of person and ask God, and everyone agreed that God said this. Um,
Well,
I
it
don't
was a
think you can.
prophecy. It
Right.
was a prophecy transmitted from God, according to the book.
So God
I mean,
said
it
that
seems
that
a
was
bit,
going to
and I don't
happen.
particularly need to argue that. I mean, I want to
No, no,
clarify
no, I
what
know, I
you
know, I know, I
believe.
know. I just want to make sure I understand. So God told David that these event that he's gonna get this wife, get a kid, that kid's gonna rape his other wife. That was gonna happen, and then it happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
And these 10 wives were not part of any crime. These 10 women had done nothing wrong. They were innocent.
right, but they're his wives.
Well, right,
If he
but
does
they're the
something
ones who were
wrong,
punished.
if he does something wrong, his household has to hold him accountable. If they don't, then they're as guilty as him. Even if he's the leader, if he start killing people in the house, like let's bring him back to the modern world. If some guy had a bunch of wives, and he keeps killing people in the house, and they're scared as hell, but 10 years pass and 80 people died, they're sorry, they're accomplice. Now we could emphasize and say they're,
Hang on.
they're victim, but
David is, hang on.
uh,
David is the king, and he did this in secret. How are they supposed to stop him when they don't know about it?
true, true. But they're still wife and husband means something, right? So if the role of a husband is to be the leader of the household, and what he says goes, I mean, whatever goes wrong, it's his responsibility. It's on him. Now,
Right.
that
Not on the
that's a
wife.
rough one. That's a rough one with the David thing. Like, I I can't say that I personally look at this and say, yeah, they deserve, his wife deserved to be burned from it. But at the same time, I understand that nowadays we don't have marriage like back then. And if we were
No, but
to try to, well, wait a minute. If we were to try to regrow the commitment to marriage, that would be one of the fundamentals. You guys are accountable for each other. The the household is one unit to the outside world. If they do something, they're doing it together. If one lies, the other one can't pretend they're a victim. It's the same group. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to disagree with God, thinking that marriage is supposed to be a
I
union.
mean, I'm not.
Go ahead.
Well, it wasn't then, though. They were part of a harem. That's not a union. But I'm not asking you to defend that. I'm
Okay.
just trying to work out what you believe. I'm still trying to make
Right,
sure I
right.
don't
And
straw man you. Do you believe
I'm
that
trying
God
to
is
make
capable of
sense of
doing?
it too
Do
myself.
you? Well, let me ask you the direct question. Do you
Okay.
believe that God is capable of doing or ordering immoral acts?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he can, because his
Okay.
orders don't, his command comes in natural laws. There's things that you do, and you're doing it right, or if you don't do what we call in quotation punishment, is just the domino effect of not doing it right. Example
All
would
right,
be
then let me
making
ask
your
you
bed.
another one. Just I'm
Go ahead.
still trying to clarify. Let me
Okay.
ask you another one, also about David. When
Okay.
David was king, God incited him, as it happens, but we'll leave that bit to one side. But he conducted a census of the people of Israel. He counted them.
Okay.
That goes against,
Everything
I
that I
think,
said. Yeah.
yeah, it's against God's law. So David was offered a choice of three punishments, which was either that he would be um, chased by his enemies for a period of time, or he would, or there would be a period of famine, or there would be a period of pestilence. And David said, I don't want to choose. I throw myself on the mercy of the Lord. So the Lord, which is God, of course, God caused a pestilence in which 70,000 of David's innocent subjects died.
Okay.
That's not to do with those people committing any crime. That's God choosing to send disease.
Could it be that the the whole story or even the use of cod is conceptualized towards something else? Meaning he says God gave
That's
him
not how he lives.
those three options, but those three options might have been what he was facing as consequences if he don't take certain options. You know,
But that,
and I'm just saying that because, like I say, I think God has a function in life, and it's not something like God can grab my arm and pull me left. It defies the whole principle of God, really, because God is fundamentally is a system, and it's a system that works. And what's his opposite is a system that's dysfunctional. That's the root of it. So when I
well,
hear that,
you,
I,
you are
you know,
seeing that, but
yeah.
that's not what the book suggests.
Well,
That's what you're doing is what we call eisegesis. You are adding to the text to
well,
make it
I'm
more
not. No, no, I'm not.
palatable.
I'm not adding to the text. I'm trying to understand the text, and the text first came from a language that was, you know, structured in story format, and we're trying to use the scripture with all its translation in such a literal way that to me it had me question, and for a long time that's why I wasn't a believer. But like I say, because I've experienced God in myself and in my life, and when I was saved, I've understood what God is. Fundamentally, I'm telling you, it's the system that works in your life. And it's a system that you don't know and you're not aware of until you kind of get that commitment in yourself, that realization, that awakening. Then you kind of pay more attention to it. So when we're talking about those events, even in the Bible, I like you say, because the Bible said it, it means something, and I need to honor it. But the literalism of it might be deceitful. Like I say, David might have been faced with three options, and he's like, well, I can't see a better outcome in any, so I'm going to be impotent about it. And then one of the outcome happen, or all three happen. You know what I mean? It's the lesson there is even if you got bad choices, pick one, or they're all going to happen. You got to, you
Yeah, but
know.
they didn't all happen. One of them happened.
Oh,
And
right, right, right.
David actually says in this story, punish me, not the people. The people are innocent.
And yet it don't work like that because
It
he got
didn't
all
work
these
like that.
responsibilities. You
Right. So
know,
what I'm asking you is it, I suppose what I'm asking you is it reasonable or moral for God to punish the innocent?
I think it's not a question of morality. I think it's a question of unfolding event. When we don't work into a system that provides or that's functional, things happen, and even God couldn't prevent those things from happening. Same reason that if somebody says, if I press a button, that'll blow up the world, will God stop me? The answer is no, because
Okay.
that's
So
not how he works. That's not
right.
how he works, you know?
So
The way he
so God
works is. we're the agent in the flesh, and what we do, we reap the benefits, or we sow the disaster. And something happened in that story that led to those events from happening. Even if it's a natural cause, even if it's not David's fault, David's assuming the crown, well, the responsibility of those people. He needs to make a clever choice, and some people might die. And you know what I mean? Like
Well, I do
that's
know
how
what you
that.
mean. And I have to say, from my atheist perspective,
Okay,
it sounds awful to punish people for something someone else did.
if you see it as punishment, you're viewing it wrong. It's the
Well,
domino
well,
effect.
I think be 70,000 people dying of a pestilence to punish David. Yeah, I think that's a punishment.
It's not a punishment. It's something that was going to happen if he didn't do certain things, or if he didn't
Okay.
pick the other solution. It was one of the three. You
Well, he
know,
didn't pick any. That was the problem.
he what?
He didn't pick any. He threw himself on the mercy of the Lord.
Right.
And the Lord said, right, 70,000 people are going to die.
Well, it's because something, and like I say, there's something that there's a factor in that story that we don't know. There was something that was going to happen, and David had to choose. I don't know the detail of why, but I know that that story, if I take the lesson that I'm telling you about consequences and about picking a choice, when I bring that in my world, in my system that I'm trying to build, like the immutable system that is God, I'm aware that if I don't pick a choice will be picked for me, and I might not be happy with that choice. So I should be the one in power of the choice I'm picking, and that's where I would take that. At the
All
end of
right.
the day, and I
However,
know a lot of Christians wouldn't like to hear that, David, he's what, 2,000 plus years old? His story is a representation of something I should know in for my life. But his life, his interaction to who he called God, it's those details don't matter as much to me as what is applicable in my life, because that's what I'm trying to learn is my
all right.
relationship with God. You know?
Let's go to the modern world then.
Okay, okay,
Let me
okay.
ask first: do you believe in Jesus? Or do you believe in the New Testament?
I believe in the crucifixion. Yeah. Now the story of Jesus, I can't say that I'm completely convinced that it was Jesus because there was books prior, but I'm not opposed to believing that the story has happened. I think Jesus, they represent the Son in us, is what I think he represent.
Okay, can
So,
I just ask what do you mean by books prior? Because
uh,
Jesus isn't mentioned prior to the New Testament.
I know, but well, of what I understand in the Jewish religion and even in the Sumerian, they depict a man and his story a lot like Jesus' story. So if it would come out that, historical evidence shows that Jesus was Yeshua or he was Aisha or he was Isa, whatever it is, I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't be opposed to, denying it if it was the case. I don't know. I didn't do those research. But what I believe in Jesus is that
Well, I think it is likely.
what?
I think it is likely that Yeshua bar Joseph did exist and
Eh,
did come
eh,
from Nazareth.
right, but then you got to question how come all the major religion are so similar to each other, and if it all kind of started was in that same story, there there's
It didn't. It didn't.
there's something to it.
It didn't start within that same story. Uh,
No,
all of
okay,
the all of the stuff about Jesus's life and his supernatural abilities is plagiarized from much earlier
that's what
traditions.
I heard before. Yeah,
Yeah, so there's nothing new about Jesus. It didn't all
exactly.
start there.
But again, the name and the location don't matter as much as the meaning, the understanding that comes into you as a believer and as a follower to what he represents. And in all those stories, Jesus represents one thing: the Son, the person who learned from the Father but wasn't quite the Father and is learning to be and walking within the system of the Father. And the Father figure is in his dad, It's the person that housed the responsibilities, that covered the responsibilities of everybody, you know? It's him. It's Jesus, the
Where
Son.
do
He
you
becomes the Father.
where,
It's us as the Son transcending into the
so where
Father. It's it's
where do you,
that point
where
that's important in the story of Jesus, you know? And that's
so
why
where
go ahead.
where do you stand on the Trinity? God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Where do you stand on that?
I think that's one of the three major things that makes somebody a Christian. It's believing and following into the Trinity.
And are you a
Uh,
Christian? Right,
yeah,
and are
I
you
think
a
that.
Christian?
Oh, I believe I am. I believe
All
I'm a
right, then
reborn
another
Christian
clarifying
with all my
question.
flaws and
Then another
my goods.
then another clarifying question.
Yes.
Do you believe that Jesus was God the Son at the moment of conception, at birth, or at baptism? When did he
Um.
become God?
When he became God, I think he always was God because God is everywhere. Um.
Right.
How when he
Okay.
entered that Trinity, that relationship, I think. Uh, to me, it happened when I was reborn. Before that, you know, I grew up in the Catholic environment.
I'm not asking about you.
I was
I'm
learning
trying
a
to
lot
work
of
out what you believe.
Christianity.
I'm not asking about you yet. I'm trying to
Right.
work out
Okay.
what you believe. I don't want to straw man you.
Okay.
Was
All right.
Jesus
Sorry.
God at
I
conception, at birth, or at baptism? When did he become God?
I think it would be at his rebirth.
So at
Eh,
baptism.
eh, you know, I was baptized way when I was a child, and I wouldn't consider that when God entered. You know, when I unified with God, it happened maybe 2 years ago that when I was saved. So I don't
So
want to
you would
say
agree with
baptism.
you
So
so
I don't
you
want
would
to say
agree.
baptism because baptism is not always when Jesus would become God when he unifies with him. So when he came back from when at 30 years at 30 some years old when he came back during his travel is when he got rebirthed and he came back as the God but he left as the son.
Right.
You know what I
So
mean? And
it wasn't
I don't
either
know
of
the
those
scripture
three.
to go ahead.
It wasn't either of the 3 points that I mentioned then.
I don't believe so. I could be
So
wrong
you
but I don't
disagree.
believe so.
So you disagree with all four gospels.
Probably, and I could be wrong on it but then
That's fine. I
I,
just want to know what you believe.
yeah,
It's fine.
I agree.
Okay. I mean, I think you probably told me enough for us to get going. But please,
Cool.
if I start to straw man you, tell me so.
Oh no,
Because I
you're
don't
not
want to do
strawmanning
that.
me at all.
Well,
I think
I
we're
know,
having a
but
good
we're going to
conversation.
talk a bit now, aren't we?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if I start to straw man you and say, well, you believe this and you don't, please tell
Yeah,
me it will be an honest mistake.
and that's
Now,
fine.
can I tell you, can
Go
I
ahead.
summarize my beliefs?
Yes, yes, yes.
Because I don't, I'm sick of being straw manned myself.
Ten
So
four.
I'm what you call an agnostic atheist. What that means is I see no reason to believe in any God.
Right.
I cannot say for sure there is not some cowardly, sniveling deity hiding behind an asteroid somewhere in the believe it. I am
Right.
certain that the God of Abraham, as described in the Bible, does not and cannot exist. That does not mean I have no morality, but my morality comes from another place. And for me, I have three bases for my morality. One is I'm a practicing Stoic. I'm also a utilitarianist, and I am a secular humanist. And that gives me morality in the way that I deal with the world, but it also gives me through my stoicism, it gives me a strong internal ethical structure as well. That's basically it. I can't say for sure there is no God somewhere. I
So
have have a very firm moral foundation. It's too nonsensical the way, because I'm sick of being strawmanned myself. I absolutely agree with you there.
Right. Well, again, I think it's a system. I understand why you don't believe in God in the way that the Bible describe it, and I'll be honest, if we go by the Bible's specific description, I don't agree with it either. But is it that the Bible's wrong, or is it that we're understanding him wrong? Because a lot of the things in the Bible, when you put them together in your life, make sense. I understand your margin of morality and where they come
Well,
from,
I
but
can understand
those
and support that.
I couldn't hear you. What's up?
I can support. I can support that. That it may be that the Bible is wrong, but if the Bible is wrong, my point still holds that the God described in the Bible isn't real, and I now need. If you're saying
Well,
that there's something else, I need a reason to believe in that.
well, what I mean, we might be reading the Bible wrong. We might be understanding the Bible wrong. Because when the Bible speaks, if you apply the knowledge you're supposed to gain from it, the lessons behind the story, they apply very well in this, in quotation, ascension, which is raising your life from one point to another. And if we look at what point that is, it's truly an ascension. It's
See, I would
based.
disagree with that, and I'll tell you exactly why. I
Okay.
am more ethical, more moral, more compassionate as an atheist than I ever was as a Christian, because all that Christianity taught me was how to hate people.
Yeah, but you were taking it with literalism, though, of what I understand. You were reading the Bible and you were, like you said, you were trusting the word as they were written. You weren't
Indeed.
questioning it. Yeah, but it was written in Hebrew, and everything in the Hebrew is a story format. Back in the day, if we look at the dialect of the people, it was all in a story format. So
Okay.
why
There
why
you go.
why are we taking it so literal? And that's what I'm saying is the churches and the institution, they do that too. They take the scripture and they say, don't you dare change the word of the scripture. First off, don't you dare preach me the scripture because it's so malleable. It's for me only to read it to myself. And don't tell
Okay.
me the scripture is so literal because, again, it's not for you to explain to me the scripture. For me to come to you if I have questions that I can't figure out myself, but it's an interpersonal reading. It's for my own life, which, other people aren't aware of every dynamics. But in your
Sure.
life, you are aware of those dynamics. When
I get
there's
that.
any. So that's what I mean is maybe we don't understand the Bible properly,
I
but
think
what's in
though
the Bible
that
does function if you, at least so far, what I've gone from it and how I've read it, it
I
works
think
in my.
that would work for many of the stories in the Bible of, the story of Job, for example, or the
Right.
story of Lot giving his daughters to be gang raped and that would work. I get that.
But
That
there's
you
a
could say, well, yeah, that means something. But what about things like Leviticus and Deuteronomy, which are simply, on the whole,
the
expressions
laws.
of God's law?
Yep, yep,
They're
yep.
not stories, they're rules.
And it had me confused too. Are those laws valid, and are they all valid? Um,
According to Jesus, yes. Matthew
according,
5.
yeah, and I agree. According to him, it is. I haven't read Deuteronomy in the depth to know all the laws. I don't know how crazy they are, but I do know we
Oh,
live
you
in a
should.
society, and I'm sure they are. That's what I mean. I don't know how crazy they are. I meant I'm pretty sure back then, like cut somebody's hand if they do this, chop their something
Oh, it's worse than
more
that. How do you
extreme
feel
than what
about
we're
sexual
used to.
slavery? How
Right?
do you feel
It's
about
more.
sexual slavery?
What's up?
How do you feel about sexual slavery? It's a lot worse than cutting somebody's hand off.
I think that's a big I think slavery, period. Sexual slavery is just one of them. Is a big problem, but I think it's a problem that we're dealing with today too. And there's a structure and
Wasn't the problem
everything.
for it wasn't a problem for the Bible. God actually commanded it.
Well, again, that's what I'm saying. When they say God commands it, you got to take. moral value out of it, and you got to look at the meaning why they would attribute that to a God's law, which is, by my definition, an immutable law. Like if they say if you have a sex slave, uh, I I don't know, you got to check for STD every week. Well, because otherwise you won't get STDs yourself. It's a law that you don't
No,
go
no, no, no,
around.
no,
If
no,
you
you
do,
don't.
but
No,
it's an
no, you
example.
don't.
It's an example. It's an example. Because if you
No.
do go around that, not checking for the STD, God's punishment in quotation is you're gonna get gonorrhea, and that could be, you
No,
know what
we're
I
not
mean?
talking. We're not talking about promiscuity. We're talking about this man has taken this woman as his concubine.
Right.
He's not sharing her about. He's just
And if
repeatedly raping her.
I think that's wrong, I think that person should be put to death. But that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at this with this modern scope and perception. I don't want to
Well,
live
God
in the
ordered
times of
that.
Jesus. I don't want to. I'm an American. If the Catholic
Right.
Church
No.
rises, I'm not going with my religion over my nation. I believe in my nation. But what I'm saying is,
Okay,
back in
good.
those days, things like that happen up to this day, and it was even worse back then. I'm sure they put that in there. I'm sure there's a reason for it. But in
Okay, I'll
my
tell you
life,
what I think the
it don't
reason was.
apply to me.
Can I tell you
Huh?
what I think the reason was? If you look at the development of Yahweh,
Yeah.
right? Yahweh began as part of the Mesopotamian pantheon of many gods. The head god was Elohim. Elohim portioned out various places and gave them to different gods. And Israel was given to Yahweh. This is the mythology behind it. This
Okay.
is all this is all very well documented. You can even find hints to it in Genesis. Now Yahweh, in that earlier pantheon, had been the god of war. And the things that I'm talking about in like Numbers 31 and Deuteronomy 20 and 21, they're all about what you do with virgin women from places you have conquered, where you either enslave or kill everybody else, including in some cases all their livestock, but you take the girls who have not known a man and keep them for yourselves. And in Deuteronomy 21:10 to 18, it's really obvious that if you find a woman among the captives who you find attractive, you bring her into your house, you take off her slave's garb, shave her head, trim her nails, give her a month to grieve the fact that you've killed everybody that she knows, and then you can shag her.
Well, then let me ask you this. As a Christian nation, let's say you're back in those days and you went to war with another nation and you see those group of prisoners. They're either going to be put to death, the king's going to put them in
No,
slaves,
no, no,
something's going to happen. What
no,
is to be. Go ahead.
no. There's
No?
nothing about putting them to death or anything like that, except in Numbers
Well,
31, one third, I think it is, of the young girls are given to the Lord as burnt offerings. Basically, they're sacrificed. God commanded that. So that's
that's
human
crazy.
sacrifice in the Bible. But in Deuteronomy 21, the one I've just outlined to you,
Right,
no,
right.
they just happen to be captives. There's nothing about them being put to death or anything like that. You just get to rape them if you find them attractive.
See, I think it's just an old mentality there. I wouldn't dismiss the whole Bible because of Deuteronomy,
I
but I
don't.
would, I wouldn't.
I
But
don't.
okay, okay. But that's one of those laws. Like, I don't think you want us to follow that in America, do you? You know what
I
I
wouldn't
mean?
want to follow that
And
anywhere.
I'm not saying you. I mean, like just a general populist consensus. Like,
I
we
wouldn't
don't
want to
want
follow that
concubine
anywhere.
to be a legal thing in the West. We don't want people to get away with having
Oh,
sex
but then
slaves.
you're going against the Bible again. Now I know that you're saying about the Bible being largely parable and all of that, but
Right.
just to be clear about, I'm not saying you believe this, but I want to be clear about the argument for you.
Yeah.
Matthew 5 Jesus says, you'll have heard this expression. Jesus says, "Do not think that I came to abolish the law. I came not to abolish, but to fulfill. Verily I say to you, not one jot or tittle of the law and the prophets shall be removed until heaven and earth shall pass away, at least in the kingdom of heaven." Basically, what Jesus is saying in Matthew is this all still applies. So if you're not
Well,
doing
that
it, you're not following your religion. Now, I know you don't believe that, but that's just to let you know that's the argument.
right, but that argument comes. It would require me to follow institutional religion, because, like I say,
Yeah, I
technically
know
the
you
Bible,
don't believe
the
it, but
yeah, I don't believe in
I know you
organized
don't
church.
believe it. I know
Uh huh.
you don't believe it. I just wanted to let you know what the argument was. I know
Right,
it's not
right, right.
yours.
Well,
But my
only
question
the
for you that will be about what you believe is you've laid out quite a lot about what you believe. I'm sure there's more, but you've given me enough to go on.
well,
Why
I
should I
believe that
think?
the Christian community is a large community, right?
Yeah,
And
but I'm talking to you.
certain areas can do things a certain way, and a different area do things another way. But fundamentally, it's because we follow the same similar law that we can meld together. We're not a
Okay, but
converter,
I'm
that you know what I mean, and
yeah, but I'm
that
speaking to
holds.
you.
But wait a minute, that holds enough importance to be independent. Like, I don't know if independence is the right word, but from the way I follow Christianity, that I would rise against sex slavery or any kind of slavery
I would hope you would.
doesn't defy Christianity. It might defy a church or a secular
Well, it,
portion
it
of the church
defies
that believe that adopts certain belief.
it
But hey, it doesn't
it
mean
defies
Go ahead.
it defies it defies biblical Christianity. But I know that's not you. So my question to you is this, because you've laid out a degree of what you believe. My
Right.
question is, why should I think that is true?
Because the wor- in your life you've always been in a system or another. Is that true or not? There's
Yeah,
always
but
been a
the human
system.
systems, the human
Oh,
systems.
yes, yes, a human system. But though, when we talk about human or in the flesh, we're really talking about the materialistic world. Systems are not necessarily materialistic. They're a lot closer to bureaucracy than any matter or form. They're design. They're concept. They're a
Right,
lot closer to a concept. Well, each
we're
concept
not.
can reach an order, and it can reach a
We're not.
disorder.
We're
God
not.
is an order.
We are
That's
not.
we are not
We're,
what?
we are not exclusively talking about the material world. There are all sorts of systems, and they're not all based upon material. They
Right,
are
but
all.
human systems are.
Well, no, I would say, for example, there are many abstract human systems. For example, I'm a psychiatric nurse. We have
Okay.
policies that are not material; they're abstract.
Like what?
Oh, all sorts of policies around the way, for example, that we would. Let me see. Well, one of my specialties is personality disorder. So there are particular ways that I will speak with someone with a personality disorder that allows for and takes into account their particular vulnerabilities. Now, that's not about a material system, it's about a.
I'm here. Sorry. Can you
Did
hear
you
me?
hear what I said? Yeah, I can hear you fine. Did you hear what I said?
Can you
I
hear me
can't hear
now?
you now.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. I probably pressed the button.
We've all done it.
Yeah. Sorry
Did
for
you
that.
hear what I said?
Go ahead.
Did you hear what I said?
No, I
Did
did
you
not.
hear what I said? All right, okay. You asked me. for an example of a system. And I said, well, in my work,
Yeah.
um, I work a lot with people with personality disorders, and there are cognitive systems around there. Like, if you like, it's like an algorithm
Yeah.
which takes into account and allows for that person's particular emotional vulnerabilities. Now, that's not really what you would call a material system, it's a cognitive system.
Yeah. It is a cognitive system wouldn't be a material system. You're right. But you understand what I mean with God, where he's not a material system. Like that's important. I think you're right. I mean, you did disprove me. A human can have non-materialistic system, but fundamentally, even in a materialistic system, order reigns supreme, and God fundamentally is the reach to that order. That's all it is. Anything that
Well,
strays away from it, even if it's from the Bible's just trying to depict something. It can be flawed. I know they say the
okay, but
Bible's not supposed to be flawed, but you know what? It can be because God
James,
is a
hang on,
natural thing. You can,
hang on,
it, it,
hang on,
you're,
hang
we're
on,
not building God. God is out
hang
there
on,
because order is specifics. You got to
right,
do things
hang on,
specifically to create an order, right?
hang on. You
Yeah.
said you said that order is supreme. I'm not sure what you meant
Yes.
by supreme, but leaving that aside for a minute, you then
Okay.
claimed but did not evidence that God equates to order. What's your
Yeah. Yeah.
evidence
That.
for that?
Yes. Yes. That,
Why
I
should I
believe that
believe that?
because that's the whole thing. God is harmony. God breeds harmony. God is love, right? God is harmony. The opposite of that is the natural state of of life, which is
Right, but
survival.
you're making claims about God, but you're not demonstrating why they're true. Why should I believe any of that?
Because any functional system needs order, and if God is in everything and is required in everything, then God is that ingredient that everything needs. And
Okay,
fundamentally,
sure. Yeah.
non-materialistic wise, it's an order, it's a
Right,
function.
right. Go back. You said if God is order.
Yes.
That word if is doing an awful lot of heavy lifting. I do
it,
not
it
believe it.
well
Don't
because
be
well when okay, so when you worship, when you idolize, when you spend your energy and your mind to structure something, your body and your decision kind of follows that pattern, right? God,
yeah.
when you follow God, you're not following somebody's life. You're not living vicariously through God. You're living your life. God,
I'm
when you
living my
try,
life anyway.
no, not necessarily. There's some people out there that don't live their life. They sit at in front of a TV and they look other people live their life, and they're perfectly happy doing that. It's an institutional design.
Okay, well,
It's fucked
that's
up,
that.
but it
That is
happens.
that. Wait.
Idolatry means
That is.
something.
Hang on. That's a bit switch. That's a bait and switch. You
I know
are
you.
now
I don't mean
redefining
to
what it
do
means
that.
to live your life, right? Because you did. They have chosen to live their lives following someone else's rules, but it's still their life and their choice to do so.
I
That's
don't
a
mean
bait and switch.
following other people's rules. I mean spending all their time. I don't know how to say that.
Whatever
Yes, they
life
made that
choices.
decision. They made that decision, but they don't make that decision. They are
Well,
tempted and they are influenced into wasting that time. It's
yeah,
it's
okay,
what
all right.
it's what in Christianity, or
That's
I
how
guess,
society works. It's
uh
not good, but it's reality. People
right.
influence each other. No God
Yeah,
required.
but in the Bible they speak of on that. It's what they speak on idolatry. And at first, if you don't understand the concept of following other people, like, or worshiping other people like Katy Perry and all that kind of shit, you don't understand the truth in when God says, don't idolize or worship anyone else but me. before you see the stuff the entertainment industry did. When you read that, it sounds pretty selfish and pretty self-absorbed if you ask somebody like me. But me, who's seen the Hollywood experience, who grew in a generation that was right behind the tabloid kids, and we were impacted by all that, from the music industry to the everything. That's why so much of our drugs are the way they are today, is because we follow idols that are on TV, and we live vicariously through them. We try to recreate what they tell us. That's why the rap game is all about pushing drug, fucking bitches, and guns. It created a subculture. People are influenced by that. God
No, that's
has that
true.
influence.
Of course,
Yeah,
that's true. None of that demonstrates why God is real. You're just saying that
yeah, it
society.
does. It does. It does
No, well,
demonstrate,
how
because
does it?
that's without God. When you let something else in your mind, when you're not worshiping God, which fundamentally is yourself, because it's an order in yourself that grows you.
No,
It's you. Yes,
no.
it is. Yes, if God is
All right.
everywhere, and you're
We agreed.
listen,
We agreed we
this
would.
is
Hang
where
on.
the
We agreed
yeah.
that we would point out straw men fallacies.
Okay,
I do
okay,
not. I do not worship me. I do not worship anything.
but you're older too, though. You've been through Christianity. You know better. You are still the father in
Right.
your life,
But
right?
you said that if I don't worship God, I worship myself.
No,
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 I
I
don't.
said, but no, I said the opposite. Not even the opposite. I said, in worshiping God, you are worshiping yourself.
Oh, okay. All right. Then I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
misunderstood what you said.
Now, when you don't worship God and inadvertently worship yourself, your life, and pay attention to the stuff in your life, you're open to other people's influence. And the system we have around us is not one of order. It's not a harmonious system in all aspects of the word. Entertainment is very chaotic. Might make somebody that's a complete fuck up and portray him like a successful person. So somebody that was in the spectrum of the Trinity is still in a son and is still malleable to influence, which you're not. You're older, you know better, and you got a strong fundamentals because of your experience. Others that don't, they look at Jay Z or Lil Wayne and Lil Pump and all that, and they get something from it. The same way as when we read the verse in the Bible, we get a lesson from it. They don't read that. They watch this, they listen to those music, and they get those
Well,
tenets.
in fairness, James, by the sound of it, you don't read it either.
I don't either, neither what.
You don't read the Bible either. I
Not
mean, I
not
pulled up lots of
religiously, not
references
not
that you were
religiously.
completely unaware of.
Well, there's a lot of things. Yeah, I don't. My life is not about religion. My life is not about God, but I know His tenets. I know His morals, and there's
Well,
only three things you need to be a Christian, and it's
what are
not
God's morals then?
worshiping the. Wait a minute. It's not worshiping the Bible. First, you need the Trinity to recognize God is real and to accept Jesus's crucifixion. Those are the three only thing I need to be a Christian. The rest, that it can teach me to be a better Christian, but
Okay.
it's not what makes me a Christian. I'm
You said,
saved. I
right,
recognize
you said,
God. I recognize
okay,
Jesus. You know what I
okay.
mean? And they mean something in my. They all mean
Two
something. My
things.
rebirth. I'm not a son
Two
anymore. I
things.
take care of my life. I have my responsibility. Before
James,
I accepted
James,
Jesus. Go ahead.
please stop. Please stop.
Sorry. Sorry.
Two things. One is, I need to very quickly go for about 2 minutes.
Okay.
And the second one is, while I'm gone, and when I come back, I'm going to ask you a question. You said you know what God's morals are. I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you what they are.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm back. Do you mind, by the way, if I cut out that dead air? I know we said we weren't going to edit, but can I cut that bit out?
Yeah. 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 That's cool.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, what are God's morals?
All right. Uh, in definition, God's morals or God's laws are things that will that happens no matter what's the dynamics. Now, what they are, they're part of the Ten Commandment, and they are the recognitions of the sins. And that second part, I didn't realize until I really put some thought into it. But the recognitions of the sins provides God's morals. So, "Thou shalt not kill" is there because murdering is a capital sin, you know.
It's actually thou shalt
Stealing
not
is the
murder.
same, lust is the same, but abstinence is not. Because that's one thing I'm conflicted with a lot of. That's why I don't really like churches. Abstinence is not good, even though the Bible would suggest that it is, because lust is bad. Abstinence is no moderation in controlling your lust. It's the complete opposite. So lust is bad, then moderation of your sexual drive is good, you know. But I learned that through experience. Abstinence is 100% not a good thing, you know, at
Okay.
least
So
prolonging it.
why are you only taking the well, they're not even the Ten Commandments. The set of 10 rules from Exodus 20,
Right.
and not the 10 Commandments from Exodus 34, which are different. And also, why aren't you bothered about the other 603 rules?
Well, if they apply as universal, then it's simply that I have yet to learn them, you know. I mean, there's plenty of things that I do in my life that I don't recognize why I do it, but it's based off my moral value regardless. But it's a unified moral code of that's inspired by the recognitions of what sins are, and those are the things we're not supposed to do. And the Ten Commandments, which in the Ten Commandments, there's really only three laws in there. The rest it's more about God and about recognizing him. But regardless that ensemble, that little package, to
Well, no,
my understanding so
no.
far, is God's laws. They could be more, but I wouldn't know about them like
Well, if you
written down like that.
if you see, this is one of the problems. This is one of the problems with Christianity. There are two sets of 10. There's the 10 that you're referring to, which appears in Exodus 20. Then there's another
Okay.
set of 10, which are different, which are actually called the Ten Commandments. The others aren't. But
And
Exodus 34, they're called
what
the Ten Commandments. They're the ones that are repeated in Deuteronomy.
what
So
what what's
the
in those
actual
Ten
Ten
Commandments?
Commandments appear twice. They
Real
include the firstborn. So every woman's firstborn son is a sacrifice to God.
That's insane.
Well, that's there.
Yeah.
That's the
I wouldn't
actual
follow
Ten
that rule.
Commandments. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah,
How do
I
you
agree.
know what God's morals are?
Well, it's definitely not to sacrifice your son. I mean, that would just not make sense with the purpose of life, you know?
But that's what the Bible calls the Ten Commandments, and it's the one that appears twice.
Well, I don't know why it's not the one I've ever heard about, but and
I
I
can tell
believe
you why. It's
it's written in
politics.
there. I'm not saying it's not.
I can
Um,
tell you why. It's politics.
mm, it's social order. It would
Yeah,
look really bad if we killed our first son or daughter.
absolutely.
You know what? And
People
it
didn't
wouldn't
want to
just look
do
bad.
that.
It would be, check this out. It would be dysfunctional, just like abortion is. It would be dysfunctional.
Have you
And
heard of?
if it's dysfunctional, I don't attribute that to God. I would go as far even say the Bible's wrong if it's providing a dysfunctional factor, because
Have
my
you?
perception and understanding of God, he's the immutable in all systems. All system has a part of God. All system can be perfect. Everything that's
Have,
broken can be fixed because they can all be built with God's immutable design, you know?
have you?
So,
Have you heard of? Have you heard of the Marcion heresy?
no.
Well, the Marcion heresy, which was defined as a heresy, I think, in the synod in Carthage in 397. The Marcion heresy wanted to dispense with the Old Testament because of those silly rules. But the council decided they had to keep the Old Testament because it contains the story of the Garden of Eden. And without that, there is no fall. And without a fall, there is no reason for redemption, and therefore no reason for Jesus' sacrifice. That's why
I
we're stuck with the Ten Commandments. But they
then I get
ignored the actual Ten Commandments and went for these rather easier ones.
well then I guess that's where my division with Christianity would start is with their expression on the Bible on the gospel and that whole ordeal. First of all, for me, the Adam and Eve story,
No,
you know what it is? It's again, it's not. I don't see
it's nonsense.
the historical value of it, and I mean I'm sure
It's not true, is it?
it's used to
It can't be true.
recognize the fall of man, but to me, it's more about the consciousness of man. At one point, you know, we weren't shy of being naked. We didn't have decorum. We were, you know, I don't care how the Bible depicts how eloquent and fine tuned we were. In my mind, we were savages. And in that story, if it was real, if it was flesh, we would have been wild people. And when Adam or Eve, whoever ate the fruit, that's not the point. When they got that consciousness, they were aware of their fallacies and they grew shame, they grew embarrassed, which created that dynamic. Before that, you killed something. It's a kill or be killed world. You're gonna eat that whatever you killed anyway. So it's not, they lived in a different scale of life, value in life. And I think that to me, that's what the story of Adam and Eve is, and that's where I would have to say I'm. It's where the separation between me and institutional Christianity begins. It would be right there.
So, so I'm conscious that when we messaged relatively briefly on Facebook,
Yeah.
um, you said you were going to back me into a corner or something.
Yeah, I was trying to get your attention.
Can you please tell me when you've done that? Because so far I'm not noticing it. But leaving
Well,
that aside,
I
I
let
just
you lead the
say that.
conversation. I let you lead the conversation. I was just really entertained by it. But
Okay, well, then,
all right. You want me to back you in the corner? All right. How
okay,
about
well, let me
this one?
ask you again then, and then I'll let you
Okay,
run.
okay. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Give me a non-fallacious reason to believe you. Now, back me into a corner all you like.
Okay, your moral code is all inspired and pre-built because of the Christian moral code that breeded the society that provided those codes, those
Except
moral
it
codes.
predates Christianity.
A It
My
didn't predate
stoicism, my
our
stoicism began in about
society.
600 BC. It
Is the,
predates
is the are
Christianity.
those the laws you're following or your moral codes? They're 6,000 years old, or are they revamped
No,
from
no,
that?
no, 600 BC.
Okay, so then 2,600 years old. Is that how old the moral codes you follow exactly are, or have they been tampered or changed at
No, I
all?
don't follow them exactly. That's not a part of Stoicism. You don't need to follow them exactly. But I'm a practicing Stoic, and it predates Christianity. And most of the morality that is in Christianity is plagiarized from earlier stuff anyway.
Yeah, but it don't matter. Christianity is where the how you call that the the supreme. It's functional. Before Christianity, everything that was tried failed. Christianity bred pretty much
Are you
the
telling me that
Western world.
Stoicism isn't
The-
functional?
be-
Are you telling me that Stoicism isn't functional?
I well, I don't know the details of it, so I can't say that it is or it isn't. But I can tell you that the society that had it came to Christianity, and every society that didn't grow the Christian society grew because it was functional. Even the Roman society fell the same way America's failing right now because it's straight away from Christian value, even those I don't personally
No,
necessarily agree with. But I don't claim that I understand every dynamics in the world. What I'm saying is that God's morality is expressed in Christianity at its best. And every time we stray away from it, especially as a society, things stop. And where you're coming from, you've reaped the benefit of being in a Christian nation and having the sovereignty to grow. You can't say you live formally and only by a different set of rules when you were brought up and raised within Christianity. This is why you think the way you are. You don't think like Muslims thinks or like a Hindu thinks. I don't think like you think, and you don't think like I think because of where we are in the world. But because you
Well, wait a
came
minute.
from a Christian, wait a
We
minute, because you came from a Christian sets of value, and I do too, we're able to coexist. You couldn't coexist in a Muslim nation. Couldn't really coexist
yes, I
in a
could.
Hinduist. No, no, you they would convert
Of
you
course I
or
could.
was
Of course I could.
how could you? You would have to convert.
No, I wouldn't. I could
You
go and live in Pakistan or India, no problem.
and
I
you
could go and live
wouldn't
in
yeah,
Saudi. I
and
have
you
friends
wouldn't
who
get a
regularly
shred.
go and work in Saudi.
I don't believe you could. You know what? Maybe it's my prejudice, but by what I see in the Middle East, what I've experienced when I was in Afghanistan, and how I seen the history of Islam, no, you couldn't. You wouldn't be non-Muslim outsider living in their country and making it. They would they would tax you, they would harass you, they would persecute you. And that's, I mean, we can argue it
You
because it's
mean
not
like
happening to you right now. But I'm telling you that you move to Pakistan, 100%, you'll have a miserable time there. You're there. You're
you
not
mean
gonna
like
be
a Chris-
welcome.
you mean they would you mean they would treat me like Christians used to treat people?
Mm, how people used to treat people, as a general rule.
Christians.
Yeah,
Do you know much about
Christianity is what progress into a better
no,
integration
no,
for
no, no,
outsider.
no.
Yeah.
Do you know much about do you, do you know much about medieval history?
About the Roman history, yeah, and their
No,
integration, and we
medieval
inspire
history,
some.
not ancient. Medieval
Um,
history. Pogroms against the
some, but
Jews,
not
by
no,
the
no.
way.
I wouldn't call
Or
myself
the
an expert.
Crusades. Or the Abygesian Crusade. Oh, Abigensian, sorry. The Abigensian Crusade, where Christians were attacking other Christians.
Yeah,
Do you know what
like I said,
stopped that?
yeah, but that's still
Do you know
man,
why
and
all that
that's
stopped?
politics. That's kingship. That's why
Wait.
leadership is a
There is a
sacred role.
point. James,
What's the?
there is a point here.
Go ahead.
What stopped that is the Enlightenment. We are civilized to the extent that we are no longer Christian nations. Christians used to burn people for believing different things. In my
But
country,
every
we fought two civil wars in the 17th century about being the wrong type of Christian. The Enlightenment is what stopped that as we moved more and more away from Christianity. That's how we became civilized.
do you mean Christianity or the gospel itself? Like when the new gospel came in,
What
and
new
then I'll
gospel
have
are
a
you
couple
talking
other
about?
questions about that. But
What
go
new
ahead.
gospel are you talking about?
There
What new
was
gospel are you talking
the new there was an old gospel and a new gospel, right? And within five
about?
thousand years, they changed it. Is that the Enlightenment period you're talking
No.
about?
Whoa. What are you talking about? There's only ever been gospels about Jesus in the New Testament. That's 2,000 years ago. I'm talking about the Enlightenment. You're talking around 250 years ago, or thereabouts. Maybe
Hmm.
300. That's when we
Well,
started to become civilized. Well, that's when we stopped things like the Inquisition, which actually went on in Spain until the 19th century, you know.
yeah. Well, like I say, man is flawed. Like I'm not saying that Christians are virtuous and they can't do no wrong, but I don't think that they did that with an operable system that God provided. I think that was the church ambition. I think that was the ambition of the dynasty at the time. That's what they wanted to
Yeah,
do. That's what
okay.
the Templar wanted to do. But
The point
that
still
wasn't what
holds.
Christianity was about.
Uh, the point still holds. We have become less barbaric and more accepting of each other as we have moved away from Christian theocracy.
Um, the only reason why I'm kind of stepping back on that is because I'm not too sure if you can attribute us stepping away from Christianity as the reason why that's the case.
Well, I think we
250.
absolutely can.
Okay,
Because
so
nobody
about
gets
how,
burned at the stake for being secular.
so what were they burned at the stake for? What, because
Any
they didn't
form of
believe in
heresy,
God, or
any
they
form
didn't
of
believe.
heresy, which would include being an atheist unless you were part of a different religion, um, homosexuality, yeah, all sorts of stuff.
Okay, so they were radical religious people. That's why you can turn
No, they
any
were
wait a
following
minute.
the
You
book.
can turn any idea, even Buddhism, into a bloodlusting one.
Oh
You
no!
really can.
Look at the Second World War.
Like I say, in Christianity, God is the fundamental key to an order in your life, to a harmony in your life.
You see, I
When
don't
you
agree
can,
with that. Please tell me why I should believe you, because the example you just gave me fails absolutely the moment we start looking at history. So please give me another reason why you can back me into a corner on this.
what that's my main reason why it's the main reason that had me not even question the Bible, dismiss the things that I see goes against a harmonious society. Just like
Can I
what
tell
you
you?
said. Just like
Can I
what
tell
you
you what I
said. Back in
see?
those days, they were killing people because those people were gay, right? Well,
Can I tell you what I see?
out of my learning from, like I say, the three fundamental things you need to be a Christian, which is restrictively to that, is believe in Jesus and his sacrifice, believe in God,
Right?
and the source code, the moral code, right?
Okay. Jesus' sacrifice is an obvious con job.
No, it's a symbolism within yourself. It's
Do
an
you
inner
think it happened?
struggle you have in your growth. That's exactly what that is. It's not a
Right.
pun. It's not no joke.
Do you think it happened?
Physically, I think it did, but I don't think that it's happening in the physical world mean as much as what
You think
the
2000? Do you believe? Let me just. I don't want to straw man you. Do
okay
you believe
yeah
that around about 2,000 years ago, slightly less, uh, a bloke from Nazareth, a Jewish rabbi, itinerant rabbi, who was also the son of God, you've disappeared. I'll wait till you come back. Who was
yep
also the son of God, was sacrificed for your sins, and now sits at the right hand of God the Father. Is that what you believe?
yes, but not in that the way you say where he died for our sins. He was
Right. He's not
yeah
dead,
so
though, is he?
yeah. I believe exactly that. So yes, I do. I can't
Okay,
say
he's
I
not
don't.
dead, though, is he? He's not dead, though, is he?
No, yeah, he is dead. Well, no, I guess no, he's not because he's in all of. We're all. He's an emblematic. He's a representation,
Is
and that's why.
he
Yes,
dead?
I believe in the physical occurrence of it, but I don't give it the importance that the Bible does. The importance I
Is
give the
he
whole story. Wait a
dead?
minute. I I think he's not. No, I don't think he's walking and breathing on Earth. I don't think that.
No, but is he dead?
No, no, because his idea is alive, but his body,
Then
yeah.
where
Yes, Jesus is
is
dead.
Jesus' essence, his spirit,
I don't believe his
lies?
spirit is dead. And
You
that's
believe his
because
spirit is dead?
we recognize him in our hearts and we believe in him. And I think that keeps him
Right,
alive. But
right.
physically,
But there's
yeah,
no
he's
point in
dead.
praying to Jesus because he's dead, yeah?
The what?
So there would be no point in praying to Jesus because he's dead. Yeah,
I see it in Common Bad Christian. I don't. When I pray to God. Jesus was the Son. He's part of God, but it's God that I pray to, not Jesus.
right. Because Jesus is dead. He is no more.
Right. Well, he's
So the
dead. He is
Trinity
part
doesn't
of God
exist.
now. No, he's dead. He's part. He still is, but he's dead. Yes. So he's part of God. He's not no more because he still
Well, then he's not
impacts our
dead.
world.
Then he's not dead.
Yeah, he is dead. He's dead.
So what's this resurrection business about?
The resurrection business. It's about, like I say, it's the emblematic meaning that's important to the resurrection. It's about the same as what Jesus did, die and came back, and the coming back. Just gotta have faith because of the moral story that is important in this. And the moral story that's important is this: is you when as a young man got to grow into the father, and there's a process to that, and why? What's the reason? You as the son don't realize that the life you're living now is not it's not right, it's not righteous. No matter how you're doing it, you haven't put the time and the study and the commitment to live a righteous life. When you
Wait,
do learn the commitment responsibility and do commit to that, you ascend from the son to the father. I think Jesus and that whole story, that's the pragmatic importance of that. And when they say, do you recognize Jesus' sacrifice, that's what they mean. Did you?
really?
I believe that. Yeah, I believe that it's
So
about the
I don't live in a righteous
transcension
life.
between the child aspect of your humanity into the fatherly aspect of your humanity, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Um, well, I understand what you're saying. Um, you clearly don't know very much about people if you think that that's a generalizable view.
I don't think it's a generalizable view. I agree, but I think it's a generalizable view, but it's not general. You're right, but it should be. That is the fundamental of Christianity. It's about an inner struggle and an inner growth inside of you.
Well, okay,
Social
but you,
dynamics
well, hang on,
is a domino effect afterward.
hang on. You're saying
How
that the
big?
essence, I can't remember the word you used, but the essence of Christianity is about an inward struggle to do right or something. That's
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
known in Islam as jihad. It's an inner struggle.
No, no, no,
In
no.
the old
Jihad. Well,
samurai,
I guess you're
in the
right.
old
Yeah.
in the old samurai code, that was about an inner spiritual struggle. In the old Norse religion, the spiritual warrior was about working hard to do right. Not all Norsemen were Vikings, you know. That was a very
Right.
spiritual culture. In Native American culture, there's a huge element of the inner struggle to do what is right, to get yourself right. In my own philosophy of Stoicism, the aim, which I think is aspirational, is to be a sage. And to be a sage is to live your authentic self according to your nature, which means being effectively doing right. This
Well,
is
wait a
universal.
minute. I don't want to argue your philosophy. I know you know it more than me, but those words you just said there is chilling because based off your environment, as long as you're in a harmonious environment, you're living a good life. But the second you're in another environment, you might just unleash the beast inside of you. And I'm saying
No,
that's a bad thing. Well,
that's
yeah,
quite the opposite of
and
Stoicism. That's quite the opposite of Stoicism. A large part of Stoicism, the main element of Stoicism, is to do with self control, to do what is right
okay.
in all circumstances.
Well, then
Christianity
see,
doesn't have
the
a monopoly on any of this stuff.
right, I'm not saying it has a monopoly on it. I'm saying that the parts of Christianity that I recognize as God are those parts I think are valid. Indian religion are valid. Stoic religion is valid. they all think that part of God is was valid enough to follow themselves. So that part ring true. It's about that inner struggle, and that's why I say the resurrection and the Trinity. It's not about social conformity. It's about the inner struggle, and I think you agree with it, but you don't agree with Christianity because of the other things that it does and what it has brought.
Well,
And
no, you're straw manning me again.
oh, I didn't mean to. Sorry.
No, I know. That's why I'm telling you. We agreed we
Okay.
would stop each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I don't disagree with Christianity because of whatever it was you said. I disagree with Christianity because it does not. I've never heard a convincing argument for it.
That
What
it,
you're
but
telling
you
me,
can't say it don't work. You can't say it don't work. So many
well,
people go through the 12-step program and recover
will you please
and
let me
find better
finish?
purpose. Huh?
Will you please let me finish?
Yes. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
You still haven't. You still haven't given me a reason to believe it. You keep telling me what you believe, but
Right.
that's not the same. See, to me, evidence is something which fits the reality I see, or that I can be aware of through other means, and which leads to one and only one outcome. That's
Which it,
convincing evidence. If it leads to various outcomes, then it's not definitive. What you're seeing can be um, subsumed by all sorts of different belief systems, including a completely atheist belief system such as mine. I just believe we are an evolved social species, and it is in our interest to do no harm or to do as little harm as we can, because that's how social species survive.
I
So,
think.
all of the
Okay.
things that please let me finish, I'm nearly there.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
All of the things that you are saying to me fit multiple explanations. You are giving me no reason to assume that your explanation, which is completely unevidenced, is true.
I guess you. Okay. So let me ask you. Did you ever? Did you've had hard times in your life, right?
Yeah, I was homeless twice, 2 years
Okay.
at one point.
Did you ever felt like you were living in a hell that you built yourself, or your life was in a hell kind of energy?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm responsible for the choices that I make.
Did you
And that's why
recognize
my life
that?
is better
But
now.
Stuart, we're and now that's why it's hard to kind of try to show it with you because you are like you say you're kind of more of a sage now. Like you've experienced life.
Oh,
But for
I
those
wouldn't go
that
that far.
but for check this out, for those that don't, that are still struggling and looking, a light is important. And stoicism, I don't know enough about it. I've followed some stoic quote, and they're how would you call that? They are they energize you for sure, but they don't give you that cemented commitment. And
You haven't read Epictetus, have
for
you?
me at least, when I was going through a hard time, recognizing my responsibility and my duties first was difficult to even know what they were because I wasn't raised right. I was bounced around, I was shifted. But on top of that, I didn't understand what commitment was, right? Committing to God, I came to find out was committing to myself. And that's why I say I don't want to argue the Bible, but I'll argue it if it goes against what I intrinsically believe. Because what I believe is, I don't think there's room to break it. It's all in support to an immutable, which means a perfect system, and we all live in a system, and it's our purpose in it. And that's what I believe fundamentally
Yeah,
Christianity
see, I
to an
don't think
individual is that commitment, it's that purpose, it's that taking of
we,
responsibility, you know, and
which is
God.
also true of all of those other
Well, and
philosophical stances that I mentioned earlier,
that's why
including
I don't hate
including
other
secular
philosophies,
humanism,
but I'm not
including
hating other philosophies.
including secular humanism, which absolutely does not involve a god.
Well, okay, so maybe the conversation should veer to that, to the idolatry. Is it practical, or is it functional to not have, I guess God is the way we put it, but a relationship with the universe in any of those philosophy? You say secularism doesn't believe in a God. Maybe they don't recognize it, but do they recognize anything that would embody that? Like the energy in the universe, right there would embody it. It's just not putting a silhouette to it, but
But yeah,
fundamentally,
energy exists. But
an energy.
that's a little bit like that. Really, I hope you wouldn't use this. You haven't yet, and I don't imagine you will. But there's a really, really terrible argument that Christians use, which is basically look at the trees and look at the trees. Aren't they wonderful? Aren't they lovely?
Right.
Obviously, they were put there by a god. Now, you haven't used
No,
that. I don't imagine that you
no,
will.
I wouldn't.
But you
Hey,
could say,
but
but
have you seen the trees out there? They're
well,
beautiful, right?
listen.
That means
Yeah,
God.
I come
I'm
from the Lake
kidding.
District. It's beautiful. But look, you could say the same thing about the fact that there is energy in the universe. Yeah, energy is proof that energy exists in the same way that trees are proof that trees exist. But it
Well,
doesn't
I
tell us
didn't
that there's
mean
a
it
God.
like that. What I meant is, what energy, knowing that there's energy means there's interaction there. And our body and the way
No,
we
it doesn't.
are, the way we
That's a
do
non
things.
sequitur.
What's up?
That's a non sequitur.
You
Knowing that
think
there's
so?
energy does. I have in a cupboard just above my head, there are some batteries. They contain energy,
I don't
but they're not
mean.
interacting with anything.
Okay, so how about this? Frequencies, vibration. Do you believe that your body resonate at a rhythm different than my body, or are we resonating because we're both human on the same level of frequency?
Well, given that we all have a common ancestor with all other species, we
Yeah.
probably, I don't know this, but we're probably on the same resonance. Although I wouldn't swear.
Okay,
I'm not.
that should be something we look into, but before we like engage in a serious debacle about it. But I think we don't. I think in the times where I felt like I was living in a hell, I was resonating at a very low frequency.
No, no, wait, stop a minute. Stop a sec, because I want to just counter that really quickly.
Okay,
What you're doing now is it's
okay.
not quite a bait and switch, but it's close.
I don't mean to.
You are adopting that rather silly new age 1970s style equivocation where, oh, it's all good vibrations and all of that. But there's
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
yeah, it's nonsense. Talk
I
about
don't
what you.
think it is, but I don't think it is. I think that's why for the longest time people believed in karma. You do good, good comes back. It
That's
all
not true.
plays within that, and
If
that's
that
within
were
the.
true, hang on.
Go ahead.
If that were true, well, you're in America. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Donald Trump would not be where he is.
Nor would have any of those politicians. But at the same time,
Right.
you and I would
So
could. But wait a minute, we
karma
can
is
both say that
bollocks.
because of our objective morality on this. But every politician is a lying scumbag. Every one of them.
I have no
So it's
objective morality.
so
I have no
it's the
objective
essence
morality.
of that. But
Neither do you.
we don't have what?
Morality is never objective.
Okay, then what I mean is that Donald Trump rise to a president, and if there was such thing as karma, it would never happen. I don't think that's true because even the Bush, even the Clinton, they're all legacies. They're all evil people. It's not just Trump. They all are, and that's just in America. In Ukraine, before that shit with the Russia happened, They're all oligarchs. Bad people get into power because of there's certain dynamics that empowers them, and it does. I don't think that has to do with
So
karma. I
how is
think that has
karma?
to do with how we built our society. Politics enables bad people to take power. I think so. It's a debacle
Yeah,
between
but it's
that
not
and
karma, is
kingship
it?
and what's up?
It's not karma then, is it?
It is. It's just we don't have a perfect system, and then when it comes to our governance, we have a very flawed system. We're not perfect people, but our politics is not all stem off, religious equities or any of that. We try to build something as we go, and it's all corrupted, and we don't reset the pendulum when it's corrupted to a certain point. So I see the system as broken, and in a broken system, yes, bad people will rise into power. I That's what I believe.
Okay,
Our politics is a broken system. Um, and I don't mean to straw
I
man
agree.
when
But
or
karma,
to bring that 1970 affluence, but I do believe in manifestation. I believe in a structured life
okay.
helps create help you reach your goals. But not only that, it attracts your goal toward you. So as you try
Well,
to
but that's
reach it,
not manifestation. That's cause and effect. Hang on. That's not
go ahead.
manifestation. That's cause and effect. Manifestation is me saying the universe will give me a parking place when I turn up at such and such. Cause and effect is well, I've got a mug up there. I won't get it and show you, but I made it in a pottery group when I was a student nurse. And on it, it's a big mug. It's a big pint mug, and on it is written,
Nice.
"To think well is to live well." That's
Yes.
cause and effect.
Um.
But
Maybe it is.
manifestation,
Maybe it is. You're right. But I perceive it differently. I could be wrong on that. That's why I say you could be right, and I need to learn more about that. But of what I
I
seen,
think it is.
there's something that was out of my control. The opportunities that came that I think if I wasn't in the past that I was and doing the things I was doing, people wouldn't have looked at me a certain way, and so maybe it is cause and effect. That's why I don't want to argue it. But I think
I
it's with
agree.
energy. I
Well,
think if I
I
would
think
if I would have let my mind fall
how
back
do you
to a
define
depression
energy?
state, go ahead.
How do you define energy?
Energy, um, a it's a form of motion that is focused. That would be about the best way I could put it.
Okay.
It's
I
something
give you
that's in
my
motion.
Can I give you
Go-
my definition? Which is
Yes.
the one, I'll be absolutely honest, it's the one I learned at school in physics class,
Okay,
what,
that works.
some 50 years ago or so. Energy is the capacity to do work.
Because of it. Well, it's not
Now,
perfect, but I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
yeah,
It's
okay,
better than my definition.
okay. The nature of that work varies,
Yes.
but the energy is the same. For example, I could do something really good today, or I could do something really bad, but the energy that fuels me will still be the bacon and eggs that I had this morning.
Okay. I see. I see. There's different kind of energy. Then I do think there's
Well,
different kind of energy
I would argue that you are using energy to mean something. Um,
that I might not understand.
Fine.
You're right. Yeah, yeah. You might be right on that. But I do. You're right. It could be frequency. It could be energy, or it could be something. I don't. I see its effect, but I don't understand what I'm looking at. You're right
Well,
on that.
speaking as a psychiatric nurse, I would say that the difference between doing good and doing bad is a choice I make, and that choice that I make will be based upon the beliefs that I have.
Yep.
Sorry, that's my little pussycat, one of them. Hello. It will be based upon the beliefs that I have, which are the result of the sum total of my biological makeup and the experiences of my life and the lessons I've taken from them. The energy is irrelevant to that.
Mm, I don't know if I can say it's irrelevant because at least in my experience, from where I came from, it's not completely everything that I did physically at the moment that fixed me. I
Okay.
think,
Do you drive?
yeah,
Okay. Do you drive a petrol or a diesel vehicle?
petrol.
Right. So you could drive your car
Yeah,
into a group of pedestrians at a bus stop,
lordy.
or you could drive your car safely past those pedestrians.
Yeah.
One outcome is good, one outcome is bad,
Let's say you get
but you
away with it. Oh, sorry, sorry. You go ahead.
but you are fueled by the same petrol.
Right,
The
but
energy is irrelevant.
let's say you got away with running over those pedestrian and you go home. In your mind, you're not the same person. I
Of
believe
course,
that.
but that's got
I
nothing to do
think
with the petrol.
no, but it has a lot to do with the energy and the energy that vibrates out of you. You killed 10 people, you came home and act like it's another day. I could walk in your house and feel your energy is something I've never felt before. I felt people's energy like that. And I don't know how to explain it. That's why I call it energy. But somebody
Okay,
that kills 10 people and is in the kitchen like nothing happened, no blood on them, you can feel something's off with that
well,
person, you know?
I can explain that. I can
Okay.
explain that
Okay.
because of my job as a psychiatric nurse. I have worked with people who have the majority of my work, to be honest, is with people who've been the victims of horrendous childhood trauma. And I have, in my brain, I have mirror cells, which allows me to empathize. And as I empathize, my sympathetic nervous system can go into overdrive. So I will have all sorts of physical reactions because of my mirror cells. And they're fueled by the basically by the glucose which is in my bloodstream. I also occasionally deal with people who perpetrate those crimes. I have a different reaction, but it still stimulates my sympathetic nervous system. And that is still fueled by the same glucose in my bloodstream. What you're describing is a physiological reaction to a
Yes.
circumstance and your cognitive understanding of that circumstance. But it's not anything to do with different energy.
So you don't think
I can get more
manifestation
detailed,
happens though?
but it's probably not necessary. Sorry?
You don't believe in manifestation.
No. Here's a really good example of that. Um, I've actually just started a new job where I will be the perpetually duty worker, which means I pick up all the stuff that comes in where somebody's worker is not available. So I get
Oh,
all of it.
nice.
I've
Nice.
done that job
Congratulations.
twice before. Oh, it's good. I mean, I enjoy it. That's why I live in a caravan. My house is 350 miles from here, so I'm living in what you would call a trailer. Um, but
Damn.
what was I saying? Oh yeah, say to if I people will say, "What's your shift been like today?" or "What's it like?" And maybe halfway through the day they'll say, "What's it like?" and I'll say, "Oh, it's quiet." I'll say, "Oh, don't say the Q word because the Q word, if you say it's quiet, it's going to get busy." And my answer is
Yep.
always the same. The universe does not care what language I use. I am not that special. No, I
I
don't
say
believe in manifestation. It's nonsense.
I believe in that, and I believe that words, spoken words, make things happen. They trigger things in the universe, and I can't I can't defend it because I don't understand it enough, but I've experienced it enough, and
Okay.
I'm listening to you, and I'm not believing what you're saying. I believe that picking up on energy is a physiological reaction, but I've encountered repeatedly so many I've seen energy being triggered, or like you said, like that don't jinx the day. It's not busy. Don't jinx it, and then it gets busy. I've experienced it too much. I believe.
Have you heard?
Go ahead.
Have you heard of the sharpshooter fallacy?
No.
The sharpshooter fallacy. It's a logical fallacy where, let's say, an archer, and I have 10 arrows, and I shoot them at a barn door.
Yeah.
2 of those arrows miss completely. The other 8 hit.
80%.
5 of those arrows are just all over the place, but just coincidentally, 3 of those arrows are clumped together.
Right.
So I draw the target around those arrows and say, look at what a good shot I am. When you say you have seen it so many times, how many times are you ignoring?
Well, that specific example, not many. When somebody says don't jinx it and say, oh, it's not busy, and then it gets busy, it has happened more often than, I mean, it might have not happened once or twice, then as a total sum, and almost every other time we get busy.
Well,
Um,
can I ask you to do something over the next month or so?
okay.
Because I did this. Me and a friend of mine, a colleague of mine called Derek, we did this, 25 years ago. We were
Yeah.
working on an acute ward. An acute ward in psychiatry it's the ward everyone comes to when they first become ill. So we get everything. And
Okay.
sometimes it's really frenetic on the ward and really quite dangerous. And the belief was that if it's a full moon, then it's going to be a bad night. So Derek and I were working nights for a month at the same time. You seem to have disappeared. Are you still there? I'm going to edit this bit again as well. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So look, I was telling you on the back of the sharpshooter fallacy, I was telling you an anecdote about when I worked on an acute ward. Can I carry on with that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so me and my mate Derek. Oh, this is going back to about 1998, probably. There is a belief among mental health nurses that when there's a full moon, the ward goes wild. And I've got to be honest, at that time, now Derek and I were working on the same ward, and we were doing a month of nights. So Derek suggested that we rate every night in that month on a scale of 1 to 10 to see how busy it was. And we did that. Between us, we covered every single night for a whole month. And you know, the nights of the full moon were less problematic than several of the other nights.
Really.
But and then that I've checked that sort of less um, critically or less formally is a better word uh,
Right.
for all of the intervening years, which is nearly 30 years now. And actually, all that had happened is I didn't remember the difficult nights that were not a full moon. I just didn't
Right.
register them. But when I actually wrote it down, it was obvious that it's nonsense.
I see what you're saying. Your mind categorizing groups things together because that's what
Yeah,
it does naturally. It figures out
yeah,
patterns, so it's
yeah.
test firing some stuff.
We
Um,
are pattern seekers as a
right.
species. That's what we do,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
the sharpshooter fallacy. We ignore the misses and count the hits.
Well, then, I mean, you bring up an interesting things about patterns. You think there's anything like holy patterns or holy geometry?
No, but I can tell you about evolved heuristics if you can give me a couple of minutes uninterrupted, if that's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. There are three basic heuristics that come into play with all conspiracy theories, and I would say all religions. First of
Okay.
all, pattern seeking. That's why you see faces in clouds or Jesus in a piece of toast, or if you're into internet memes on a dog's bottom. We see patterns that may or may not be there
Mm-hmm.
because that's what we're looking for. Then there is the agency fallacy that if something goes wrong, we try to work out who caused it.
Yeah, cast the
Um,
blame.
yeah, and often that becomes the boss or the politician or even just them, but we
Yep.
don't know who they are. And then the real killer is type 1 and type 2 decisions. A type 1 decision is positive, a type
Right.
2 is negative. So imagine, go back in evolutionary past. We are not even human yet. It's Australopithecus afarensis. We live on the plains of Africa near watercourses, which also happens to be near vegetation. And we stood on the end of this seemingly endless plain, but
Right.
behind us there is some bush. We hear a rustle in the bush. If we decide that's a saber-toothed cat, which is type 1 because it's positive, we make the positive decision, the threat is there, we run away. Whether
Right.
the threat's there or not, we will survive.
Right.
Or we could make a type 2 decision, the threat's not there. Half the time, we'll survive, but half the time, we get eaten by the saber-toothed cat.
Right.
So that's the selection pressure in evolutionary terms, which means that over time, over many generations, those of us who make type 1 decisions will survive. We get to breed because dead things don't breed.
Right.
We get to breed. We pass on our genes into the next generation. And over time, those of us who make type 1 decisions, so we assume a positive agency, are the
Right.
ones that survive. Or as well, my ex-partner, who still lives in my house as it happens, my ex-partner of 18 years would say that we are descended from a long line of cowards because we leg it. We run at the slightest possibility of a saber-toothed cat because our ancestors did, our ancestors bred, and that's how we evolved those heuristics. So we've got agency fallacy, pattern seeking, type 1 decision making. That's where religion comes from.
I mean, I can see that because of the purpose and the agency, but does it come from there intrinsically? I gotta put some thought into that.
Yo, that's
I
good.
but I see what you're saying. about the type one decisions and the type good or bad decision. You know, those that do bad decision, they tend to end up dead. You're right.
Yep.
Um, you know, like I guess I never thought about it on that angle. I thought about it on different angles. And right now in my mind, it's just kind of trying to separate the two because I think the two aren't related. But in my mind, I thought we started life because there was no structure or concepts. You know, concepts is a huge innovation for the human mind when we were able to kind of develop that. Um, we lived on a survivalistic based society. And with we're organization. I was gonna say organized religion, but that's because it was a tool to bring us to that societal framework. We turn from a survival society into a harmonious society. Doesn't mean a society that's not violent intrinsically, but a society that cohabits with each other and coexists with each other. And that, in my mind, that was the framework of where God exists and God is natural, but at the same time He's by design. Because in the natural world, it's a dog eat dog world. It's kill or be killed. It's run or die. And in society, we aspire for bigger. We create farming, which kept us in one location. We share with neighbors. We don't hoard. We don't kill to survive necessarily, or we stray away from it. We do kill to survive, but on a different level. So I'm just kind of trying to. That was my understanding, and I'm trying to incorporate the type one and type two decision in that,
Okay.
and you know what I
Well,
mean?
let me try to help you with that.
Okay.
And I mean, I hope you won't object. I'm going to talk about evolution because I
Yeah,
accept
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah. Okay. You're not one of the one of those then, so you
No, I'm
accept.
not. I'm not an evangelical. I'm not
Yeah.
radical. I'm a
All
normal
right.
guy.
Okay. Cool. Um, if you look at other ape species, because we are great apes. If you look at another type of great ape, like the chimpanzees,
Yeah.
they have all of that social species stuff that we have within their particular group. But if you take another group of chimpanzees and put them in the same territory, they will fight. And they're vicious. They tear
Yeah.
each other apart.
They do.
I mean, even to the extent there's, Margaret, somebody or other, was an anthropologist who lived with chimpanzees for a while. And there was one particular instance where they took a group of chimpanzees, attacked another group of chimpanzees, took the alpha male, held him down, and tore off his genitals. I mean, they're
Damn.
vicious,
I've seen
but
documentaries of
within
their
their own,
ape wars, chimp wars, or whatever they
yeah,
call it.
yeah, yeah, but within their own group, within their own society, they're very similar to us.
Yeah.
They share. They tend not to fight much, and when they do fight, the females break it up, which is also very true for
Yeah.
us.
Yep.
They are very much like us in many, many ways, but not to outsiders, and neither are we. Which is why we were talking earlier about, well, it's okay in the West, but you wouldn't want to be in a Muslim country.
Yeah. Well, it's because
Yeah,
systems are closed. System are not open loops, and
yeah, we're the
so
same.
it's
We
right.
just
Right. We
have
are. We.
more
Uh,
technology, and we've had more time to evolve. Well, we haven't had more time. We've had the same amount of time, but we've had different selection pressures, which allowed us to evolve um, language and abstract reasoning. But
right.
even if you look at other species, it's very clear. There was a wonderful piece of research done on meerkats, I believe it was, where they recorded meerkats' warning cries because there's always one on guard duty, one on sentry duty,
Right.
and They were able to, the researchers were, I don't know the reference off the top of my head, but it is there. You could find it online. They were able to find different calls for different threats. So one call, for example, was something like, "There's an eagle." They all went to ground.
So they got
And
their own dialect. Yeah, their own
yeah,
words.
there are words. Now there weren't many words. Like another one was a land-based predator. They all ran up trees. And they recorded these and then they played them from loudspeakers. No threat at all, but they played them. And the
Right.
meerkats reacted in exactly the same way. That's language.
Across different and well, here's where it's interesting. I bet it's interesting. If one meerkat never heard the dialect of a different meerkat, how do they know the same language?
No idea. Don't know. I'm not one of the researchers. But I can tell you that they have a proto language. And it's an abstract proto language.
We don't know
I
about
think
our
that's
proto
fascinating.
language, but we might have a proto language. I think
Well,
we do.
of course, we had a proto language because it just means early or before it's sophisticated. So yeah, of course there was a proto language before this developed. Somebody at some point will have used a particular grunt to mean water or food
Yeah,
or
but
fire.
okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean a language that once it was developed, everybody knew it.
But you
How
have to
would
be
that
taught that.
work?
Well, you're
Oh,
taught your language, aren't you? But if you imagine you're a meerkat, and every time you hear that particular call, your mummy says, "Come on, get down," or drags you down into a hole, you get
well,
to
that was
know that that's what it means.
yeah. And for cats, for example, a house cat that never seen another cat will still understand cat language. Of what I understand that I've seen on YouTube. Like you, I'm
Yeah,
not an expert. I'm just
I
an
don't know.
audience guy. But
Yeah, I don't
that
know.
that's
But
what
what
I
I
meant.
do know,
It's just interesting. It's just weird.
yeah, what I do know is that there is, and I'm certain of this, there is nothing about humans that cannot be seen in at least a proto form in other animals.
Oh, I
And
agree
some
with that.
animals are very sophisticated.
I think we are of this world. We're part of the flesh, and I mean, like I said, my big belief is all about systems and how they work together, and what makes a system dysfunctional. And I think in different words with different things, we're talking about the same things. You know, you say the
I
dynamics
think
with
we
the
may be.
apes is a mimicry to our society. The truth is, the same can go with ants, and it's a
Oh,
mimicry
yeah.
to certain aspects of our society, and we can, you know, we can use one's data to impact the other 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that's holy. That's part of the holy. The holiness is there. It's those laws we don't see that are just they're universal, right? And
See,
it's trying to
I would,
learn what those laws are. Is learning who God is, in my mind.
I would I would disagree with attributing it to God or to the holy, but I agree that these are things that we observe. The
I
only difference I think between you and I is I don't attribute it to some supernatural higher power. And as
well,
yet, you have not
right.
given me any reason to change my mind.
Because I'm my idea of God. When I say God, or when I hear other people refer to God, I'm not thinking about a supernatural being. And I don't know if it was you I was saying that, but I was like, I hate that people think we believe in a sky daddy, because it's not
I
that.
didn't say that.
We believe in a function that's true in the system that we live in. It's the immutable system, like I was talking about. Um,
Well, in that sense, if you're saying that you believe that there are I'll use processes rather than systems. If you believe that there are processes revolving around cause and effect that um, mitigate and facilitate how life is organized on this planet, I
Yeah.
will agree with you.
Now, on that part, let's put that part on something we mutually agree in. We
Okay,
do
well,
have different belief. I guess our philosophies are how to be, and I don't know how different they are, but I know that for me, I believe my commitment to God and my ascension from the Son to the Father is something. It's a pillar in my life that that that
yeah,
that that creates a structure in me, whether it's in my brain, in my soul, or however we gotta
yeah.
put it, and it's the structure that helps me not, I guess.
See, I don't believe we have a soul. But leaving that aside, because we probably have gone about as far as we can go in this conversation, but I do want to ask you one thing, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you may not like it, but it goes back to that original post on Facebook. Do
Okay.
you accept you have not backed me into a corner with your religion?
Um, I mean, we mutually agree. I think I could almost convert you to mine as much as you could convert me to yours because they're not so
Oh,
intrinsically
no, you
different.
couldn't.
So that's kind of a corner in
No,
itself.
no. We agreed that there are. We agreed on. We agreed on cause and effect. We did not
Yeah.
agree
Oh,
on a
thank
God.
you. Yeah, but you agree that. So see, when I say God, or when anyone say God, they speak about this immutable system, and you agreed on this immutable system that the universe, and I think we're both in agreement in that it's it's a giant package of system, closed system at that. Like you say, when one group of chimpanzees
But it
see an
has no
outsider,
agency.
yeah, right,
But,
right, right.
but it has
So,
no agency. It does not make decisions.
no, it does. But
Right,
maybe
and
by
we
cause
don't
and
agree.
effect, maybe by cause and effect, but just like we make decision based off our sins and our desires, our temptation and our desire, I'd rather say, like everything triggers
Let
a
me
demand or
rephrase.
want or need. So it does
Let me
make
rephrase.
decision intrinsically.
Let me rephrase to be clear.
Okay.
It is not conscious.
This is not what?
Conscious. You are talking about cause and effect. You are not talking about a consciousness.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right. Well, no, I do think it's a consciousness though. But
Okay. Well, you haven't demonstrated that.
no, I have not. I have not. I'll agree that I
Okay.
haven't. I haven't demonstrated that.
So you haven't backed me into a corner.
No. Ah,
Cool.
okay, 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 okay. Got you there.
Well, look,
You
let
got
me
me
ask
there.
you
You got
something.
me
In
there.
the spirit of absolute friendship, because I've really enjoyed this conversation,
Yeah, me too.
I ask you, I will send you the link of this, because I suspect you haven't recorded it yourself. I will send you the link. Please listen to the conversation and think about it.
Okay, I'll do that. That's a good idea.
But honestly, it has been a pleasure talking to
Yeah,
you.
same
And
here.
if you were to look at the last few conversations I've had, they have been with people who have been utterly insulting, offensive, and genuinely naive about their own beliefs. At least you were able to be consistent and coherent.
Well,
Thank you for that.
I'm genuine. I'm not saying this because I read it in a book. It's what I'm experiencing as what I perceive as a Christian, and through my everything I've been through. I just share my strong belief that the world is the way it is, and we're close
Cool.
to something. Maybe I'm wrong on certain part. Maybe you're not seeing certain part, but I think fundamentally the truth of it, we got it. It's in our hand, and we can be blessed or be benefited by following within an order, you know?
Well, let's end it there because I will agree with that. We can both be right, we can both be wrong, but either way,
Right.
we're trying hard to get it right.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll do me.
Exactly. And all right, I will listen to the
It's been
recording. It'll
really
be
nice talking
interesting.
to you.
It was nice talking to you too.
All right, cool.
Hey, see ya.
All right, bye bye.